Hey, comic lovers, EMoney and the old man back with you again. So you'll notice Thor still missing. Well, the old man, he's still getting over his head cold, and also it's really cold outside. So
yeah, I don't even if I'm 100% well, I don't like sitting out in the garage in the cold.
Yeah,
doesn't seem beneficial.
So hopefully we'll see Thor soon. But just to give you, a little update what he's up to, his mom, my sister, sent this video of him running around in the snow with his brother Jax. I was hoping for a little bit more of a reaction from him when she opened up the door. Sees the snow for the first time. This is his first snow as far as I know. Sees the snow for the first time and was like, hey, what the heck happened out here?
Not the reaction you got at all.
Nope, he just ran out like he always does. So there's Thor. So, get a little sneak peek of what he's been doing while he's been gone. All right, so we have our comic reviews this week. We have one comic that some are speculating that it's going to be a big deal in the future as the introduction of a character comes up. I'm not so convinced. The old man's not so convinced. I guess, time will tell. So we'll tell you.
I mean, it's one of those things where they introduce a new character all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to call that a key issue, okay. But you got to wait and see what they do with that character.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's mentioned a couple of times over a period of a year, then maybe.
Mm-hmm. So time will tell if that turns out to be something. I mean, we've gotten a lot of good luck out of Thor issues in recent years. All right, so then we have our comic previews, and then I am going to give you a sci-fi related movie-ism. So I have all that to look forward to. All right, so something we learned last week. Now we know what to expect when a Tuscan offers you a lizard. So be wary of that. This is Back Issues. Alright, so before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. You can tell us what you think, or you can give us some recommendations. Alright, so before we get into our comic reviews, just to give you guys a little heads up, if you haven't heard, Morbius has been pushed back to April, I believe, this year.
Wow. How many times does that make?
I saw an article that said Morbius has been pushed back more times than New Mutants.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed it had been pushed back so many times. I guess with the pandemic, you had come to expect it a few times. With New Mutants, I was convinced we were never going to watch that
you gave up on that movie. You didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Yeah, we're never going to see it. And, the end result turned out to be kind of,
I thought it was all right.
Yeah. So Morbius pushed back to April, and we're still going to get, as far as, as of right now, we're going to get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in May to kick off our summer movie season, and the Batman kicks off in March. So that whole streak I was always talking about, how we got a new movie every month, new Marvel movie every month, well, that ended with 4 instead of 5.
Still a nice run.
Yeah. All right, so there's your superhero comic book movie update. All right, so first we want to do our mentions this week. So before we get started, give you guys a update, or tell you how we do this in case you haven't seen it before. We grade all these comics on a 5-shield rating system. We each give it 2 scores, one for writing and story, and the other one for artwork. Then we combine the 4 scores together and give it an average overall score. All right, so mentions this week. This is what I talked about earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, that's you.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. The book that's got a first appearance,
I guess you call
possible key, is Thor number 20. Now, Thor's been a good run.
Mm-hmm.
It started with Thor, Gods of Thunder, and then continued on in the current series. Just been a really interesting read.
Right. All right, so in this story, the past few issues, Mjolnir has been stolen from, was it Avengers Tower it got stolen from?
Seems like it, yeah.
So Thor had asked Throg to hunt it down for him, to track it down for him.
The Frog of Thunder.
Yeah.
I hate that creature.
So then Thor gets into a bit of a family squabble with his father Odin and his brother Loki about the location of Mjolnir and a few other things. So Throg and Sif come, and they said they found where Mjolnir is, and it's on Midgard, and it's in Broxton, the small town in Middle America that Asgard was hovering over for a time some years ago, and Broxton has been destroyed. And these are people that Thor had come to care about over the years. So it's destroyed, and then Mjolnir appears to him, and Thor thinks that Mjolnir is coming towards it like it always does, but no, it's actually it's actually attacking him, Mjolnir, and so he knows that the God of Hammers, which has been rumored from both people on Asgard and other sources, is behind all of this, is what's controlling Mjolnir. So after a bit of an attack on Thor here, he cries out to show himself, and the God of Hammers is revealed. And that is where the people are speculating that this is going to be a key issue, is the reveal of the God of Hammers.
Yeah, one of those last page first appearances.
Yeah. So, people are saying, hold on to this issue, go off, get it graded, all that stuff. So, I don't know. It seems a bit anticlimactic, I guess.
The God of Hammers becomes an important character.
Yep.
They're right.
Right. So,
I didn't like the character as of yet. Haven't really developed it much, but
I think most stores are sold out of this, so I think you're going to have to get it on eBay. But if you're a speculator, I guess, maybe you want to, grab a copy of this one. All right, so Thor number 20, the reveal of the God of Hammers ends up with...
It rounded up to 4 shields.
Rounded up 4 shields out of 5. All right, next up.
All right, next up. Now, it doesn't say Dark Label on it, but this is obviously...
Black Label.
Black Label.
Right.
But this is obviously an imaginary story, or a what if, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the miniseries Dark Knights of Steel, number 3 out of 12.
All right, so a lot happening in this issue. So, war has been brewing between these kingdoms for a long time. You got a lot of different factions and kingdoms.
Let's face it, it's like the Game of Thrones.
Pretty much, but with superhero characters. So, Jor-El was murdered a few issues back, the king of the House of El Kingdom of El. And Jefferson Pierce, the Land of Thunder? I don't remember what his kingdom is called, but...
Land of Thunder.
Land of Thunder? So, and he has claimed responsibility for it. And it has led to, retaliation and, blood for blood and all that. And, things are escalating and, war is brewing between the kingdoms. And, this is only the 3rd issue out of 12. So, it makes you wonder, what the hell they have in store for the next 9 issues.
Yeah, I mean, with major characters dropping like flies already, there's not going to be anybody left by the time it's over.
Yep. And by the final page, we learn a revelation about Batman, or Bruce Wayne, who is I guess the first captain of the guards for the Kingdom of El. The basic relationship between Batman and Superman in most stories. Well, turns out in this version they're a little bit closer than that. So, Dark Knights of Steel, some great stuff. Artwork, pretty top notch as well, and we give it.
It rounded up to 4 shields as
4
well.
shields out of 5. All right, so next up.
All right, we're on a DC miniseries roll. Next up.
I mean, that's a lot of what comics put out nowadays.
Yeah, it seems like if you're not a major title, you're just going to do miniseries. I mean, that's pretty much what it's turned into. At any rate, this is Justice League Incarnate, number 3 out of 5.
So, Justice League Incarnate is a lot like a crisis story.
Oh, definitely a crisis story.
You have like alternate versions of your favorite superheroes. Like you have the President Superman version of Superman. And then you also have the Thomas Wayne version of Batman. And a few other guys here. So, our team, Justice League Incarnate, is kind of spread out throughout the multiverse. They've, ended up on one Earth or another and, been getting separated. And, there's a lot of different things happening, a lot of good humor here. Like, for example, on Earth 26, this is where Thomas Wayne Batman has been stranded. And Earth 26 is a Earth populated by, I think it's called anamorphic.
Mm-hmm.
Anamorphic characters, which is basically like Looney Tunes, except they're superheroes. So, what are they called? The Zoo Crew is the superhero team of this Earth. It's their version.
The Amazing Zoo Crew.
Okay, and it's their version of Justice League. And you got these characters running around in the Felix Faust. I get it. Felix Feline Faust character, and Thomas is punching him out, and he's like, I bleep hate magic. So the Zoo Crew explains that as far as they can tell, he's kind of stranded here, and he says, but hey, look at the good news, Thomas. We decided to make you an official member of the Zoo Crew. And Thomas is like, oh, great. And one of his Justice League Incarnate friends teleports in that moment, and he's like, oh, thank God. Like, get me out of here. And then there's also the kind of a meta version in the story, and President Superman and Dr. Multiverse are in Earth 32, 34.
There's so many different numbers for the.
Yeah,
I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah, 30-something, I'm pretty sure. And it's basically our Earth. It's our Earth where there is no superheroes, there's no magic, there's no nothing. The only thing that can penetrate this Earth from the multiverse is ideas. So the theory is that things happen across the multiverse, and the ideas penetrate into our Earth and work their way into the minds of writers and artists. Is the prevailing theory.
So basically, it gets turned into comic books.
Yeah. So
which you have there.
Right. So they found their way onto this Earth somehow, which shouldn't be possible. And they decided in order to get out of here, they need to write a comic book. So, very, very meta writing here. And there's also, one other cool thing. There's this splash page where the heroes are fighting this demon-like creature. And and there's this part in the splash page. I didn't know that DC had the rights to Wildcats here. I thought it was an Image property. So, I mean, do you know if Image is doing anything with?
I do not. I've not seen Wildcats forever.
So maybe they bought it from them. I don't know, because I don't see Image on the cover here at all. So they use that in this issue, and like I said, a lot of fun stuff happening in this story, and I look forward to seeing them wrap it up. All right, so Justice League Incarnate 3 of 5, and it gets
3.5 shields.
3.5 shields out of 5. All right, and now for our last mention this week.
Who, brother?
This is one I guess I enjoyed it more than the old man did.
I don't like tons of comic relief in my movies or in my comic books. And this one is just comic relief. That's all it is.
I mean, it's also a little sad, too. So I guess there's some drama to it.
I mean, okay. This is another DC miniseries. Star Squadron number 2 of 6.
All right. So in this story, there's a company called Heroes for You. Excuse me. And basically what happens in the superhero community, if you're not a Superman or a Flash or a Green Lantern, then you may end up being employed by Heroes for You. Basically, there's a freelance superhero service where you can hire certain superheroes for whatever it is you're wanting to hire them for. It could be anything. It could be you're hiring them for a security detail. It could be you're hiring them to entertain at a kid's birthday party. And there's a hero here who is a down on his luck guy called Minuteman, and his power is it's not great because he takes a pill, and for 1 minute he has superpowers. He has like, Superman, level superpowers. He got super strength. He can fly. He's indestructible, but only for a minute.
What if somebody else took the same pill? Do they get the same minute of superpowers? Is there anything special about him?
I don't know. They have not specified on this. Someone who's familiar with Minuteman, if you guys know, let us know.
I'm not going to be familiar with Minuteman. I think he was made up for this comic.
So if he takes like 10 pills at the same time, does he get like?
I bet he gets 1 minute.
Still gets 1 minute.
I think so.
So he has to keep taking the pills every minute in order to keep his powers.
And I bet he can only take one a day.
Only one a day?
I mean, our man can only take one a day.
Ah, okay. So I was trying to think of a way to game the system, but apparently there's...
He's a loser.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, I would have that as like a last resort thing, and, you get yourself a suit, or you get some training from Wildcat or whatever, and, you learn to do superhero stuff without it.
Well, you better figure out something to make you bulletproof.
Yeah. So, Red Tornado, who runs the company...
Which, that's another thing.
Yeah, he's a Justice League. I don't know why he's slumming it with this Heroes for You company.
Yeah, I think he deserves better.
Yeah. And also, Plastic Man he's not even in charge. He's one of the heroes you can hire.
Okay. Plastic Man is good for backup stories in funny books.
Mm.
He doesn't need to be in the league. He's been in the league, but he doesn't need to be.
Now, granted, he usually gets picked for the high end jobs on this.
Next to impossible to kill.
Right. So he's a good guy to hire, really. And isn't he a detective too?
Yeah, Ralph was always the detective.
Okay, so maybe not for that, but still, he gets hired a lot. So anyway, this Minuteman guy, he takes a job for a kid's birthday party because you got to pay the bills. So he takes his pill and he demonstrates his powers. He flies, he lifts up a car and all that. And then he tells kids, hey, who wants to throw some hammers at me?
Here's a box of hammers. Have at it.
Yeah. And I don't know what he was thinking, because even if it happens later on that he bought the pills from a sketchy source and they didn't last the full minute. But even if it had lasted the full minute, like, how do you expect kids are going to stop when you tell them to stop? And he's like, okay, that's 55 seconds, kids. Everybody cut it out. Like, no. They're kids.
Hey, those last 5 seconds, I'm using them to get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah. And, it reminds me of a scene from Hollywoodland. It was a, biography sort of film of George Reeves. And, he goes, he does a show where he's entertaining a bunch of kids, and he does, superhero stuff and throws guys off a horse and everything. And then a kid comes up to him with a real gun and says, "Can I shoot you, Superman?" Kids are stupid. Like, don't put yourself in that situation. All right, so, some interesting stuff in this. You see, like, the other side of being a superhero. Like I said, if you're not a Justice Leaguer, then you could end up here. So, 1 Star Squadron, 2 of 6, ends up with...
3.5 shields.
3.5 shields out of 5, rounded up. So, one thing they did in this was, superheroes, they have Heroes for You. There's also a, henchman service that Sportsmaster talks about. Like, they all get hired for the same security detail, both, henchmen, villains, and heroes. Apparently, it's, much more profitable to be a henchman than it is to be a superhero. Like,
sure.
You get better gigs. Anyways, all right, so there is our mentions for this week. Now it's time for our top 3.
All right, and in our top 3, guess what? Can you guess?
What's that?
Yeah, there was a tie.
Ah, okay.
A 3-way tie.
Hmm.
So, we've had all these contests to determine who gets to pick the ties. So I was feeling pretty cocky. I said, all right. We're going to do Mumbly Peg, which is a variation of the game that Hudson and Bishop played in the movie Aliens.
Okay.
Stab the knife around your hand.
Oh,
see how fast
okay.
you can go, see how close you can go.
I always call that 5-finger fillet.
Well, yeah, that's really a better name for it, because as you can see, the old man, not the steady hand like he used to have. Ouchies. But at any rate, EMoney won. So if you don't like the order of these next 3 books,
All right, so what do we got? Our number 3.
Number 3, well, these are all DC books. We need to read more Marvel stuff. Is Batman number 119.
All right. So what do we have going on for Batman? All right, so in the previous issue, we learned that 5 members, I think, of Batman Incorporated have been accused of murder. So Bruce flies out to the city where it took place and to find out what's going on here. And he finds out that Batman Incorporated has a new benefactor. You know, Bruce lost all his money a while back, and you know, he's kind of slumming it doing Batman stuff without the money he enjoyed before. And he finds out Lex Luthor is the new benefactor for Batman Incorporated. Now, don't get me wrong here. I don't trust Lex as far as I can throw him.
Oh, no.
But from what I remember in more recent years, he's been, has presented, I should say, to be more, I guess, altruistic than he has in previous stories.
Something. He's got something up his sleeve.
I mean, you remember not too long ago, he was a member of the Justice League.
Yeah, it's just gross.
Yeah. So, you know, he tries to convince Bruce that, you know, he's changed now and, you know, he wants to see Batman Incorporated succeed and he wants to get to the bottom of what happened here.
Sure he does.
Yeah. So he tells Bruce, like, you know, we're going to do the autopsy on this guy. His name's Abyss. He was a vigilante and he's the victim here. And we're going to find out what happened. Well, Bruce, of course, not trusting Lex, he decides to jump the gun and get to the body and do his own autopsy before Lex's people can get to it. And he finds out some stuff about the body. And
big stuff.
Yeah, mainly that it's not dead. So, Batman has a fight with the, previously dead Abyss. And then something kind of bad happens to him, which is our cliffhanger for the issue. So, some good stuff here, some good revelations about the future of Batman and Batman Incorporated, and you know what where they're going with it. Because
I was never a fan of Batman Incorporated, so they can do what they want with that.
Well, Bruce not having money really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine if Iron Man didn't have any money.
Yes. He would run out of oil for his 10 suits.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Batman number 119, our number 3 for this week, 4 shields out of 5. All right, next up.
All right, number 2 is another DC miniseries. Only this is the last of 8, Crush and Lobo.
All right, so, you know, we've had a fun ride on this series. Lobo was in prison. He convinced Crush to come and visit him. He escaped prison while also throwing her into prison in his place.
Oh, how could that happen?
Yeah, and then the prison conscripts Crush to chase after him, and now they're both back in the prison, and the greedy philanthropist warden is decided to kill both of them, and also is writing a book. Evil 2, I believe, is the name of her book. 2 Too. So, Crush and Lobo, they find some common ground finally and decide, hey, they don't like what's happening here. So they manage to bust out of prison, and when the security protocols activate and a bunch of guns are trained on them, the warden is like, you're never gonna get out of here alive, and Crush and Lobo have a good laugh at that.
Yeah, I mean, keeping one of them in prison would be hard enough.
Mm-hmm. So the story ends about, realistically, about as well as you can expect. Certainly not with Crush and Lobo, finally loving each other and running off into the sunset together. No. I mean, honestly, if Crush went with Lobo, I'd be a little disappointed in her.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know she struggles with being a hero a bit, but, she's not Lobo either. So, Crush and Lobo, number 8 of 8, good conclusion to the story. 4 shields out of 5, our number 2 pick for this week.
And our number 1.
Number 1.
Imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
We picked a Bat book for number 1. This is Detective Comics number 1047. Now, I'm not one to spend any time talking about how great a cover is, but in my opinion, this cover by Lee Bermejo, sorry for the pronunciation. Whew. But I just think that is a really good looking cover. Batman dragging the Joker through the gates of Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was wonderful. But anyway, Detective Comics.
All right, so strangely, Batman doesn't really appear in this issue. It's mostly handled by secondary characters and also members of the Bat family, like Batwoman, Batgirl, and Nightwing. So,
well, Nightwing, first part of the book, they don't even know where he is.
Right.
He's not answering comms. They think he might be dead.
Mm-hmm. So the new Arkham Tower has opened up.
Built right in the middle of Gotham's downtown.
Mm-hmm. Now, I thought that maybe they would wait a little bit before the first crisis at Arkham, breakout happens. Give it a little bit of time.
They did. It was a little bit of time.
So we see in this splash page, the first crisis and the new Arkham Tower, a hostage situation has happened at the top of the tower, and you see here it's day 24. So a little over 3 weeks before the first situation happened.
Well, let's face it. There is an advantage to building Arkham right in the center of downtown Gotham. The police don't have very far to go to get there.
And I guess it's easier to surround the place than it is, having a, building that's right off a cliff, right next to a cliffside. So,
in this case, surrounding it's not doing a lot of good.
So, first situation, you have I'm kind of unfamiliar with this character. She's kind of like a female Zaz character.
I don't know who she is.
Maybe she was like one of his victims that turned crazy herself. But anyways, so Batwoman and Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, start to siege the tower and find out what the situation is inside. And also Nightwing is inside somewhere, and part of the problem is finding him because he was not answering his comms for a while. So, like I said, Batman not in this issue. I guess. I mean, if they're keeping it in line with what's happening here, he's out of the country at the moment. So maybe that's why. All right. So, but anyways, great storytelling. Artwork is top notch here. Detective Comics 1047, our number one pick for this week, ends up with 4 shields out of 5. All right. So, there's our top picks for this week. So, what is happening? Or I guess these are from last week, our top picks for last week. So, this week, what is coming out?
Well, there's been rumors that they were going to do an entire week from DC with nothing but Bat books. This could be the week. However, one of the books that DC ships is Titans United. I just don't know if you'd call that a Bat book.
I mean, bit of stretch.
Yeah, he may be involved, but I wouldn't call it a Bat book. But you have another copy of Detective coming out, The Joker, Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes #1.
Okay.
Curious about that. Robin and Batman #3. Moving on to Marvel, we've been enjoying all the Daredevil stories, Devil's Reign, the whole 9 yards. There's a new Daredevil book.
Oh.
Only this one is Daredevil, the Woman Without Fear.
Okay.
So Elektra gets her own book. You've got Dark Ages, Devil's Reign Superior 4. Sounds interesting. You remember the Santa Claus book called Knighted?
Yes.
Superhero kills the main guy and has to take his place. #3 comes out. There's also a new Joe Hill book called Rain, based on a short story of his that I've read.
Okay.
And The Scorched, a new Spawn book.
All right.
The only reason we're getting that is because I think Gunslinger Spawn is in it.
Okay, like Gunslinger Spawn. All right, so we're not going outside this week, so here's where we transition into our Movie-ism. All right, comic lovers, so it's time for this week's Movie-ism. And this week's Movie-ism It's probably one you're all familiar with. I mean, I didn't make up the term. Usually when I have a movieism, I make up the term to go with it. This one, it's been around for years. This one is called the red shirts. Now, if you're not familiar, I mean,
shame on you if you're not familiar with that term.
All right, so here's where the red shirts term came from. So in the original Star Trek series, whenever they're going down to a strange planet or they're investigating an abandoned ship or something, like say you make up a landing party. You got Kirk, you got Spock, you got Dr. McCoy, and you have members of the Enterprise security team.
Now, Kirk wore gold.
Mm-hmm.
I think science was blue. And then you had security, which was red.
Mm-hmm. They always wore red shirts. Now, I'm not saying the security team always didn't make it back to the ship. Sometimes, no conflict happened or no, accident happened and they got back to the ship. But if you needed someone to die from the Enterprise in a conflict, like they're trading fire with Klingons or some accident, explosion, kill somebody or whatever, had to be a member of the security team, obviously. I mean, Kirk and Spock aren't going to die.
All right, men, this is a dangerous mission, and it's likely one of us will be killed. The landing party will consist of myself, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Ensign Ricky.
Ah, crap.
So it had to be the security team members. So, ever since then, whenever a TV show or movie happens where you see characters who are just there to die in a conflict, people refer to them as red shirts.
Didn't they touch on that in that Galaxy Quest?
Yes, because you had the guy named Guy, and he played a character in one episode of the original show. He was a member of the security team, and he got killed. And so throughout their whole adventure in Galaxy Quest, he's like, I'm just here to die, man. That's all I'm good for. And Monk's character, what's his name?
The alien.
The guy who played Monk, I forgot his name. I'm going to put it up on the screen here.
Tony
Shalhoub. That's it. Okay. Tony Shalhoub convinces him that, maybe you're not here to die. Maybe you're the quirky comic relief. So, at the end of the movie, when they say that the show got a continuation, the Galaxy Quest, the adventure continues, they introduce him as Security Chief so-and-so. And he's got a new title now. He's a part of the show. So, like I said, it's been a running joke and stuff for years. Another example of the red shirts, I remember it was a scene in Game of Thrones, the first season. Ned Stark is going to investigate something in King's Landing, and he takes his captain, guy that, we knew him a little bit. He had gotten, some scenes in the first season. And then he asked, who are your two best guys? And he says, well, it's, this guy and this guy. So the four of them go out, and word has gotten back to King's Landing that Ned's wife, Catelyn, has arrested Tyrion for crimes that he later found out didn't commit. And so Jaime shows up, and he's got like a squad of guys with him, and he's like, where's my brother Stark? And so, they, trade a few words back and forth. Jaime gets fed up, and a couple Lannister guys just throw two spears at the two red shirts. Like I said, red shirts. And they die right away. His captain, who we knew a little bit, like I said, he lasted about another 5 seconds. And so, like I said, they were just there to be killed in the conflict. So, there you have it, the red shirts. That's, what they're known as. Alright, that about does it for this episode. So, what do we have going on in the future? Well, like I said, we got a lot of cool movies coming out this year. Really excited about it. Oscar season is coming up soon. I don't know if we're going to touch on that on this show. All I know is I get really excited about it. Ballot comes out, we got to watch the movies. And also, later today, we have our reaction video for The Book of Boba Fett Episode 3. So stay tuned for that. Watch the channel. It's going to be here in just a few hours. And also, watch The Book of Boba Fett.
Well, you can watch The Book of Boba Fett if you want. I'm going to watch the Piggly and Wiggly show.
Okay. All right, so we'll see you guys next time. Excelsior.
True believers, it's all about the Piggly and the Wiggly.